G'day human Latiosites, this is Latios and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Picross, where we use logic puzzles to draw Pokemon pictures. So, let's begin. Okay, big news, apparently there's a mythical Pokemon somewhere! Where, oh where is there a mythical Pokemon? Okay. 20 by 15. Use 2 or more Steel-type Pokemon. And... freeze time at least once. Okay, so I can bring you. Steel-type Pokemon, I'll bring another one then. Let's go with... who can we bring? I'll bring you. You're not going to do anything here for us, but whatever. That's okay. Let's go. Wait a minute, why am I doing this? I could have brought a mythical Pokemon. That would probably be a lot more helpful for us. You know what? I want to do that. I am going to bring... but wait a minute, but then I wouldn't be able to bring Greninja. Huh. I wouldn't be able to bring Greninja if I did that. You know what? I'm gonna bring Cobalion. This way we'll get a lot more Autofix X's out of it. Alright. Dragonite, do your thing. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Come on. Come on. Are you kidding me? Well, whatever. Well, wait a minute. Did I miscount? Great, I miscounted. Okay, that wastes one of them. Alright. Whatever. That's a 2. So we have the leftmost, columns are filled. You have those. Greninja, help me out here. Just because why not? Alright, that cannot be a 2. That cannot be in the 7. This has to be the 7, actually. Emptying that. Alright. There's the 1. Alright, well in that case we know that's the 3. That is a 2. And the 3 will include that. Alright, in that case this is the 2. Which will finish up that. So we have the first column of boxes done. Alright. You know, that's not in the 3. That needs to be a 2, meaning that's a 3. That's a 5. So that's also in the 5. That's a 2, so this is empty. That's a 2. That can't be the 2, so that is the 2. Alright. That's the 9, that's the 1. So there's that 9, and the 2 will have to include this. So there's our 2. This needs to be a 1. So does this. So our 3 would have to be... wait a minute, that's a 2. My bad. That's the 3. That's the 1. Alright, the 4 goes this way then. Thank you, Cobalion. Alright. So we have a 2 right there, and this would be an 8. Which means that those are in the 3. These are going to be connected to make that a 3. Alright, that needs to be in the 3, that's the 1. This is not there, so this is in the 3. This would have to be there because that's not there. Alright. So. Well. Yep, that's the 5. That's a 1. We're gonna have a bunch more 1s, but that's at the top. Alright. That's the 4. Alright, so the 2 has to either be, so that's the 2. Which means we're done with that column. So, this is the 5. I should have known, because that's a 3, obviously. Which means we have a 1 down here, because that's a 2 to begin with, so... Once again, if I was paying attention, it would have been a lot more obvious. Alright, this needs to be a 5, so... We've officially passed the halfway point. There's the 1. That's a 3, so that's the 3 right there, so we have another 1 at the bottom. Okay. There's the 12, and... Oh, that must have been a lucky guess. Alright. So we have... Well, this needs to be a 5. 1, we need a 2. That's a 4. Okay. Alright, now we just need the 2. And a 1. 1, 3. Alright, well that's the 3 then, which means... Ah, that's the 2. Alright. 2 and a 1. Oh, there's the 1. That's a 2. That's a 2. That's a 3. And there we go. So with that, we have drawn and captured Diancie. Alright. So Diancie's gonna get the crown. We didn't need to bring Cobalion, but you know what? Whatever. We had a lot more freedom there. Oh, and you get a Mega Evolution. Well, with that, Diancie does have the crown, and if I'm not mistaken, we're probably only gonna have a few more of the mythical Pokemon left. And then we'll be done with mythical Pokemon. Wow. Well, either way, we do have more Pokemon here in this 30th area, so 10 by 10, I think I'm going to go with that one. It looks like it's not going to be too much of a difficulty here. We need to bring 2 more bug types to it in 5 minutes. Okay, so bug types I believe have Hyperscan, so that could potentially come of use, perhaps? How did I click on Autofix? I'm in Hyperscan. So, no, I meant to pick Butterfree, but Butterfree's a flying type, so that's convenient. Alright. Scolipede and Vivillon. Yeah, I know it's pronounced Vivian, I don't care. Okay. Let's do this. Dragonite, do your thing. Right in the middle. Bet you it's gonna be in the corner again. Practically in the corner. See? It's uncanny. Uncanny. Alright. You know what? I'm gonna use Greninja. Just because I'm a little bit more, I'm trying to be a little bit more careful with the time limit here because... Well, we have a, mural tile on the line. Alright, so we have 4 and 1. This needs to be a 5 and a 1. 4 and a 1. Alright, so 2 and a 1. We need 7. We have to go downward. Can't go upward except a 1. We need a 3 right there. That would be the 2 because we need a 5 to go here. 3, that's the 4. We need a 1 here. So we get a 2, 1, 4 and a 2, 7 and a 1. There we go. With that, we have drawn and captured Volcarona. Alright. So Volcarona is going to get the crown, and we're going to get a little mural tile. Bringing us yet one more step closer to the, I guess, mural tile collection? I don't know. Either way. Next up, 2 or more ghost types. Blue, use blue force. Okay, so bring 2 ghost types. I already have Gengar. Alright, freeze time. Who's a ghost type? Bannet, you can do this, I believe. Unless you can't, in which case, then you can't do this. I don't know what to tell you. Alright. I'm gonna bring in Fernape, I think, just because... why not? Bannet's not gonna help us here, but Bannet's at least gonna be able to do the, help us get the crown. If not actually help us complete the puzzle. Okay, come on, Dragonite, right in the middle. It's, you know, a little bit more left than I would want, but Infernape, bottom right. Bottom right. Come on. I believe in you, Infernape. Bottom right. Bottom right. Or top left, where you're not very helpful. That works. Stop the clock and use the Greninja. Okay. Alright, we have a 2 at the top here. 1 right there. That's not there. Alright, we need that to be a 2. And we need this to be a 5. And a 1. Alright, that's done. We need a 3 somewhere here. This needs to be a 7. This shall be a 5. Meaning that this needs to be in the 3, so that's the 2. Those are 1s, so we have this. Alright, that's a 3rd completed. Alright, we need that to be a 1, and we need a 1 at the top. Thus that's done. That's a 1. Alright, that's not guaranteed, but we do know those are in the 5. That's a 1. That is a 2. And we have, well, those are 1s. That can't be a 2, that can't be a 2, which means we have that's the 2. Okay, so we have a 7. We also have a 2 and a 1, but we don't know too much information about that right this second. Or we know that's a 1. That is a 1. Alright. That's a 7. That would be a 1. This needs to be a 1 as well. So that's the 1, that's a 2. Those need to be in the 6. We have those are 1s. This needs to be the 3. Because it wouldn't fit over there. Alright. This needs to be a 3. And we need a 1 somewhere in there. That needs to be in the 2. And those need to be in the 4. Meaning this can't be. Okay. That's a 1. That can't be in the 2. 4 and a 1. That needs to be in the 4. But this can't. Which means that's the 3. That would need to be a 2, meaning we have a 1 at the bottom. Those are 1s, which means we have that column done. This needs to be the 3 because it wouldn't be able to fit at the bottom. Okay. We need... That can't be there, which means we're going to need the 1 here. So that's a 2. Meaning that the 2 would go right there. There's the 5. That's in the 2. This needs to be a 2. No, wait a minute. That can't be a 2. This has to be the 2. Because this would have to be a 2 right here. Okay. So we have a 1 here. Here's a 2. There's the 1. There's the 6. 2 and 4. 1 at the bottom. 2 right there. So there we go. With that, we have drawn and captured Shedinja. Alright. Within 15 minutes, 2 ghost types, the blue force, and the crown. So with that, Shedinja is going to get a nice little crown. Okay. Alright, so far the only thing we haven't crowned in this area is the one that only wants wants fixed skills. So how do you know? What are you gonna do? That's a 20 by 15, 15, 15, 10. By 10, 15, 15. I'm gonna go with the 10 one just because it looks like it's probably gonna be a little on the easier side. Watch it not be. Just saying. Just saying. Alright. Let's go heal up our Pokemon. Because it seems like the responsible thing to do. Alright, so we want to bring at least 2 Pokemon, 5 or fewer skills. Fair enough. You know what? Bring Charizard. You can only do it at the start. That's unfortunate. You can do it anytime. So I'll bring you with Infernape. Maybe Blaziken can actually help us out. Who knows? Okay. Dragonite right in the middle. I know you can do it, Dragonite. Nope. Whatever. Okay. I'm gonna stop the clock now. You know what? I'm just gonna see if Blaziken does the same thing as Infernape. Bottom right, please. Not even bad. Not even bad. Alright. So we have a 2 right there. That's a 2. We have 3 right there. That's a 3. And we have a 1. Okay. That's a 3. That's a 1, so that's a 3. That's a 2. There we go. With that, we have drawn and captured Zoroark. That was actually really easy. Alright. So with that, Zoroark is going to get the crown. Some of these skills are just so broken, it's hilarious how broken they are. Alright. Although they're not only broken when... Yeah, I'm not only using fixed skills here, but it's a 15 by 15 one. I'm sorry. You're not going to get the crown, whatever you happen to be. I'm sorry. Okay. At least 2 Pokemon, I can do that. Let's go! Dragonite right in the middle. I believe in you, Dragonite. Right in the middle. Come on. Come on, right in the... You know what? If these guys overlap Dragonite, I'm just gonna do this again. Bottom right. Are you kidding me? Alright. If this thing overlaps Blaziken, then that is it. Bottom right. Bottom right, middle, or I'm done. Are you kidding me? That is the... That is just nonsense. How do they all somehow overlap each other? Alright, well the first column is done. Alright, this needs to be a 1, that's a 3, so that's the 1, that's a 2, and we need another 2 right there, so that column is done. Okay, we need this to be a 3 somehow. And this can't be in the 3, that can't not be in the 3, that can't be in a 3, so those are in the 3. Okay, that's a 5. Easy enough. This needs to be a 2, so this can't be there. We have a 1 and a 2, so that has to be in... Wait a minute. That has to be in a 2. So there's a 1. Alright, there's the 5. That's an 8. And we have a 6 right here. Done. Alright. So this needs to be a 5 somehow. And that needs to be an 8. In fact, pretty much done right there. Alright. Okay. This needs to be a 1, so this can be a 4. Finishing up that row. That's a 1 right there. The 3 has to include this. That'll need to be a 1. That'll need to be a 1. And we need the 5 to be in here. Okay. That's a 3. Those can't be in the 3. That can't be a 3. That can't be there. That can't be a 3. This row is done. This can't be in the 4. And that can't be a 2. So we know this is the 1 right there. So that's the 5. That needs to be in the 2. We have this. So the 4 is going to... well, have that. So we have a 3 right there. That needs to be a 2. 2 right there. And that's a 1. That's a 2. So there we go. With that, we have drawn and captured Staraptor. Once again, I know I say this a lot of times I'll just skip drawing X's, especially toward the end when I see what I'm doing, because it just takes more time by doing that. When I get stuck, then I start definitely drawing a bunch of X's, but, you know, whatever. Guess I just don't have many X's. Alright, so, next up. 15 minutes, at least 3 Pokemon, 5 or fewer skills. Okay. That seems pretty standard. So pretty much don't bring Metagross, because that will activate a bunch of times. This, if we use these guys, they're less likely to activate a bunch of times. Alright. So Blaziken and Infernape pretty much do the same thing, which... I guess it's both a good thing and a bad thing, I don't know. The question is, do I want to use Gengar, or do I want to use... both? Oh my god, it's right in the middle. That is so nice. Okay. I'm gonna use Gengar. I might actually pass on using Greninja then. Or I might just use Greninja once, because I only need... the only stipulation is I can't use it more than one... Oh my goodness, that is a horrible... horrible go right there, Blaziken. I am very disappointed in you. But that's okay. Alright, come on. Bottom left? Or far right? I don't care. Of course it's gonna happen. How do they both overlap the top or bottom? How does that happen? I mean, I understand that it's definitely... It was a possibility all along and all, but come on. Alright, we need a 2 and a 1. 1 and a 2. Okay. That's a 1. This is a 3. This is a 6. So this row's done. That's a 3. This row's already done. We have... This is a 3, so it can't include this. That's in there, that's a 3. Okay. Well, we know this is the 2 then, meaning that this is this row. 2, we have a 1 and we have a 3. Okay. So we have this. Meaning that's a 1. Hold on. That's a 2. Alright. That needs to be the 1 because that's a 1 right there. That's a 2. And we have a 1 right here. That's a 2. So we're gonna have a 1 on the left and a 1 on the right. There's a 3. That column is done. Alright, we have 7, which means we have this. There's the 6. Alright. These cannot be connected, which means it need to be the 2. There's no way to fit a 2 elsewhere, so this has to be the 2 and the 2. Meaning we have a 1 and we have a 3 over here. That's a 2. So we need a 3 here, so 3's going to be there. In order to make it a 4, we need the 4 to go downward. So the 1's going to have to go here. There's the 3. 3 right there. 2. There's a 3. There we go. So with that, we have drawn and captured Hydreigon. Okay. So Hydreigon is going to get the crown. Nice. Okay. Another pseudo-legendary under our belts. Okay. Still a bunch more stages, though, even though we did all this already. Wow. Okay. 20 by 15. Use at least one ice type. Oh, boy. Okay. I might bring an ice type in instead of Greninja. Right, neither of those two are gonna actually help us here. I'll heal them for potential later use, but for now, they are out. I'm thinking I'm gonna bring... Well, we need an ice type, so I guess I'll bring... I don't think it matters, but... I'll bring you, even though you're not gonna actually... You know, I'll bring you, because why not? Okay. And I'll bring... Who wants to do some work here? You will not help us here, I don't believe. So, you might. I'll bring you. Use Rising Reveal at least once. Okay, who has Rising Reveal? I believe it's up to Arceus and Regigigas. I'm gonna bring Regigigas, I guess. You only at the beginning, or yeah, you're at the start. So you know what? I'm gonna bring you instead of Dragonite. No reason to bring Dragonite if I can't use it, I guess. So, let's go! It's on. Alright, Regigigas. Show us what you got. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Okay. I'll take it. Stop the clock here. You know what? Let's let Kyurem do some work. Come on. Don't overlap. Don't overlap. Of course you're gonna overlap. You know what? That's not bad, though. Definitely not bad. And one more time. Since, you know, it's random. If it wasn't random, maybe I would, consider not... Are you kidding me? That is so messed up, but you know what, whatever. None of them are going to touch anything to the left of that. That sucks, but you know, whatever. Alright, we have a 4 here. 2 right here. It's all part of the game, so what are you going to do? Okay. Well, we know for a fact this needs to be the 8. So we have a 2 over there. We know that these are in the 11. And actually, these are not. Those are 3s. That's a 2. So that's the 11. Okay. That's a 1. Need a 1 somewhere here. That's a 3. So the 1 has to be here. That's a 12. That's done. Alright. We have a completed row already. Alright. We need this to be a 3. That to be a 1. That to be a 2. And this to be a 1. That's the 2. Meaning we have the 2 right here. That's a 3, and that is a 3. That's a 6. We need a 3 and a 1. Those need to be in the 3. Okay. So that needs to be in the 3. That needs to be a 2. That needs to be a 2. That needs to be a 1. That needs to be a 5, and this needs to be a 5. Finishing up at this row. Those can't be in the 2. This column's already done. That's a 1. That's a 1. Another 1 somewhere, though. Somewhere in here, there's another one. Alright, so we have a 3, a 1, a 2, and a 1. That needs to be in the 2. That needs to be in the 3. So we know that's in the 1. That's a 1. That's a 1. So that can't be in the 2. This needs to be in the 2. That's a 1. So we have a 2 right here. So this needs to be there because this can't be here because that's a 1. But since this is a 3, this row is done. 1 and 2. There's the 3, there's the 1 and the 1. Okay. Right here, that's a 1, so we know that's the 3. That's a 2, so there's the 3. So there we have that. Okay, we are well on our way here, I guess, to finishing this. So we need... Well, this can't be in the 3. That column's already done. That can't be in the 3. That is the 1. Those are in the 3. We have a 2 somewhere in here. We know this is a 1. That is not there, so we have... We know that's in the 4. That's a 1. Well, we have this, meaning we have a 3 up here. That needs to be there. 1, 1, 2, so we have a 1, 1, and that needs to be in the 2. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Which means we have that 1 right there. That's there. We know this is the 2, so that's not there. Alright, we have a 1 and a 2. There's the 1s. We need a 1 and a 2. So the 2 have to go this way, meaning this 2 needs to include this. We have this. There's the 4. There's the 3. And with that, we have drawn and captured Rayquaza. Okay. So we did it in the 6 minutes, use Rise and Reveal, use an Ice type. So with that, Rayquaza is going to get the crown. Nice. Of course, it gets a Mega Evolution, obviously. Alright. So next up, this is going to be fun. Which one do we pick? A or B? A or B? Let's go with A. Okay. Oh my god. This is another one that has a bunch of Mural Tiles. This one has none. Okay. Use Rising Reveal. Another Rising Reveal one? Guess Arceus it is. Use Mew. I have a feeling I know what this is going to be. I think I know what this is going to be. Alright, let's bring... You know what? Let's bring Rayquaza. Just because. In fact, if I'm bringing Mew, I might as well use Mew. In which case I wouldn't need to bring Gengar. So you know what? Let's bring Rayquaza and... Let's go Zygarde. Hopefully Mew will be able to give us enough time. Hopefully we can do this. Let's go. Alright. Oh, wait a minute. You can happen anytime? I didn't know that. Well, I'm an idiot. I should have bought Dragonite then. And you can do whatever. But you can do it twice. So you can do 2 whatevers. Wow, that really is, I think, a really good skill. Do that. Okay. Zygarde, don't overlap, please. I should have let Zygarde go first. See? Zygarde should have gone first, so I wouldn't have, I would have been able to avoid the overlap. But you know what? That's okay. But just gonna overlap. See? Again. You know what? Rayquaza? Come on. Come on. To the left. To the left! What part of left don't you understand? Completely overlaps Zygarde. Well, I didn't mean to use you, but I was gonna use you anyway. Come on, Rayquaza somewhere on the left. Come on. And in the right. Well, at least it pretty much did half of the board for us. Pretty much did almost half of the board for us. Alright, we have a 2 and a 5. That needs to be in the 6. In fact, that needs to be a 1, so that's the 6. Alright, we have 7, which needs to include this. Can't include that. Those are both 1s. And the 3 is going to have to be up here, because otherwise it would be 2, 2, 2, and you wouldn't be able to fit 3. So, that needs to be a 1, so that's the 1 right there. That's a 3, so we don't have anything here. We need... Well, that would be the 7. That... We know those can't be in the 3. That needs to be in the 2. So that's a 1. So we will have something. I don't know. Alright, either way, we need that to be a 2, which finishes this row. That needs to be in the 2. That's a 2 and a 1. So that's a 1 right there. That is nothing. 1 and 2. That is a 3. 2 and that's a 2, so the 1 has to be in the middle. So there we have that. Those need to be in the 3. That's a 7, that's a 5. Therefore, we're going to have the rest of our 2's in that column for us. Okay, so we have 2 2's right here. So we have a 3 and a 1. Alright. We also have the rest of that 6. We have that 6, which is done. That's a 2. We also have that 2 right there. So that's done. And we have this 3 right here. Alright. We are almost, I guess, done here. Okay, that can't be there. So we know we have a 4 right there. This needs to be a 3. Which means we have that right there. So that's not there. That can't be in the 2. Okay. Well, those need to be in the 3. In fact, we have a 3 and a 1 automatically there. That's a 1. That is a 4. Okay. You know what? I'll let Mew stop the clock again. Just because. Don't want to push our luck with the skills. This needs to be a 5. And that's a 3. So we need a 2. And there we go! With that, we have drawn and captured Mewtwo! Alright. Did Mewtwo get the crown? We kind of need Mewtwo to get the crown here, to be honest. Mewtwo is going to get the crown and give us 4 mural tiles. So many mural tiles from, like, Mewtwo and Arceus, seriously. I mean, they both collectively give us 8 mural tiles. That has got to bring us closer to filling up these boards. We only need 7 more. 7 more, that's it. We are coming so close, and I'm pretty sure some of the Mega Evolution stages are probably doing that. In fact, is this our last non-mythical, non-Mega stage? This might be. It's another 20 by 15, so it's a huge one, but this might be our last non-mythical, but at least non-mythical, non-mega stage. I don't mean Mega Picross, I mean Mega Evolution, obviously. Use only fixed skills, I'm not going to do that. But I will set mythical or legendary Pokemon, if that is what it asks of us. I shall bring... I'm going to bring Dragonite, just because, and I will bring... Who wants to have some fun? Oh, how about Meloetta? I don't think I've really used Meloetta very much at all. If at all, that is. Okay. Let's do this! Did it say only mythical or legendaries? I wasn't paying attention. I don't even care at this point, to be honest. It might have said only mythical or legendary Pokemon, and if it did, I wasn't paying close enough attention, but I'm not getting the crown anyway, and it's only for pick rights. So it's kind of like, what's the point? Alright. Alright, well these are done. I'm gonna let Latios do its thing, because why not? Come on, right? Are you kidding me? Okay, you know what, Latias? You are a lot more helpful. Let's do this. I'll put you right here. I can't believe Latios legitimately went right into the corner. Alright, Meloetta, let's stop the clock here. And let's use the Greninja. Well, that's about it then, I guess. Alright, so we have a 4 and a 1. 2 and a 1. That's done. That needs to be in the 2, that's a 3. That's a 2. So we have this. A 1, that's a 3. That can't be in the 7. This needs to be a 4. Very well. Okay, now we have these need to be in a 7. That's a 2. That's a 3, so that's actually done for us. Pretty much, for all intents and purposes. So we're gonna have, that's empty, so we're already really, doing okay here so far. Why do I mean to do that? Those need to be in the 7. Which means that needs to be in the 3. Well, that is a 7, so we have that's the 7 right there. That's not in the 2. And that is going to be in the 3. Okay. So we have a 1 and a 5. And that needs to be in 5. These need to be a 7. That needs to be a 5, and that needs to be a 3. Well, this needs to be the 7. That's done. That's not a 2. That's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. So that can't be there. That needs to be a 2. That needs to be a 4, so this column's done. This is a 5, 1 and 2. And we're gonna have a 1 and a 2 somewhere here. That's a 2. We need a 2 here, 2 there. That needs to be in the 2. That's a 3. So there's a 1. That's a 2. So that side's done. Alright, now we need this to be a 5. Still have time on the clock, okay. I was thinking that it would be done by now because I don't pay attention to the clock when I'm doing this for whatever reason. You can call it laziness, I call it not being, I don't know, overly concerned about time. Especially when we don't have a mural tile on the line. I mean, crowns are nice and all, but they're not everything. Mural tiles give us more to do. That's why I'm more concerned about them, but whatever. I'm gonna fill in all the X's, I think. Alright, that means we're gonna have a 1 right here, which means we're not gonna have this. And there we go. With that, we have drawn and captured our final non-mythical, non-mega evolution Pokemon, Cresselia. Cresselia is not going to get the crown because we didn't just use fixed skills, but we are going to get 2 Picross for that, and now we have access to Cresselia. So we've pretty much captured everything except for there might be a mythical or Pokemon or 2 that we have still yet to encounter. But, you know what? Let's draw our first Mega Evolution. And I think I know what it's going to be. Skill 10 or fewer times, at least 4 Pokemon. Okay. I can do that. I hope. Maybe I can't. I don't know. But 10 or fewer times. That might get a little complicated. It's not for a mural tile. Are any of these? No, okay. Whatever. Slash reveal. No, wrong one. At least 4 Pokemon, 10 or fewer skills. So I don't want to use anything like Metagross. Let's bring Giratina. And... you know what? Let's go complete Zygarde. We're gonna go all Zygarde in this. Actually, no, I'm gonna bring... I'm gonna bring Reshiram and Zekrom, I think. I'm probably gonna regret this, but... here goes nothing. Let's go. It is go time. Our first Mega Evolution. Okay. Do they only do it at the... do they do it any time? Okay, good. Dragonite it is then. I can't believe we're actually doing a Mega Evolution already. Come on, right in the middle? Yes! Okay, not in the middle per se, but I'll take it. I will take it. Alright, they are gonna do it randomly, but that's okay. That is okay. I can live with that. Come on, bottom left. Bottom left. Bottom left. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Bottom left. Come on. Come on. Bottom or middle left, not the right. Yes! Okay. Alright. Giratina. Let's stop the clock, if you will. Zekrom. Top left. Top left. I know you can do it, Zekrom. Come on. You gotta be kidding me. You've gotta be kidding me. Alright, top left. Come on, Zekrom. Don't waste my time. At least gave it something. Alright. That's a 7. That's a 4. We just used 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We use 6 skills. We still are in the running for 10. As long as we don't use... I think we can use like another one for Giratina when the clock runs out. Which we have 10 minutes for that, so I think we should be okay. Alright, we need 2 right there, because this can't be in the 5. Alright, this is a 2, meaning we don't have this. Okay. You know what, at least this way it's not too broken. It didn't give us everything. So on our first Mega Evolution one, we, at least had to do something by ourselves. Otherwise I would feel like, well, that's a bit of a cheap way to do this. Okay. So we have 2 right there. That needs to be in the 2. Well, those need to be in 2s, should I say. Alright, that's a 1, that's a 1. That can't be a 2. That is a 2. Hold on. Maybe there's no undo button. That needs to be there. Okay. So. Those need to be in the 4. That needs to be in the 2. Alright. So we have that. This is a 3. And 2. Wait a minute. 2, 1. 2, space, 1, space, 1, 2. That needs to be in that 2. That needs to be in that 2. Oh, I could have known that because that needs to be a 5, and this column's pretty much done anyway. Alright, so we have this. Those are done, and that is there. That is done. And we have this right here. This needs to be a 7, so we have this. That is a 2. 1 and 2. 2 and... It needs to be a 2 and a 3. Alright, those need to be in the 3. In fact, we have a 1 and a 3, so it's guaranteed right there. Okay, good, because that means we have a 4 right here. This is a 1. That's a 4. And we have a 2 right there. That's a 4. We need a 2 here to match with that 3. That's a 2. Finishing up that row, which means we need that to be a 2, so that needs to be the 1, that's a 3. That's a 2. That would have to be the 2 right there, so that's that 2 to match with the 3. Alright, so we have this. That's a 2. This is an 11. Okay. So that's that 2 right there. So that's a 5. That's a 5. Top row is done. In fact, we know that the 3 has to include none of them. Leave that 3, that 2. We need a 1. A few places. This needs to be a 4. So we have this 3 right here. That's a 1. That's the 3. So we need a 1 right there. And there we go! With that, we have drawn our first Mega Evolution, Mega Rayquaza. And that was actually cool with the animation thing right there. So Mega Rayquaza is gonna get the crown, and that is how we do it. First Mega Evolution. Congratulations, successfully Mega Evolved. There are a few things I want you to remember. You can only set one Mega Evolved Pokemon in your party, and you can't set a Mega Evolved Pokemon and its original Pokemon together in your party. The rules may be a bit complicated, but that's how it is in the Picross world. You want to give serious thought to which Mega Evolved Pokemon you set in your party. I suppose we will. So, what exactly does Mega Rayquaza do then? It does it do the same thing as Rayquaza? No, it does more. But it does random still, so it might actually potentially not help us that much. It all depends. But that was only our first taste of Mega Evolution. We're probably gonna have to go back and maybe get some more of the mural tiles, depending on, because we still need 7 mural tiles. I might go back and just do some of the if there's any that required a Mega Evolution, I might go back and use Mega Rayquaza just to get the mural tiles, so we can actually do that at some point. But next time we are gonna go after those Mega Evolution puzzles, because now we've finished everything else other than if there's another mythical Pokemon, we'll go after that, I suppose, and then we'll resume with our Mega Evolution search, I suppose. I can't believe we've already finished the last area, other than we didn't do the Mega Evolutions. We didn't finish up, I'm pretty sure there's another mythical Pokemon or two. And we still need to do the mural tiles. But the mural tiles are probably going to be last, and then we'll decide if we're going to do Alt World or not. It all depends. But with that, I can't believe we started Mega Evolution already. Wow. So, thank you for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.